I found a game that shouldn't exist on the dark web, and now it won't let me quit. It all started a few months back when I was browsing through dark web forums. I know nothing good ever comes from that, but I'd been looking for a thrill. I'm a huge horror fan, especially of games that mess with your head. But most mainstream horror games just didn't do it for me anymore. I wanted something real, something intense. One night, I found a post with the title, "This game will change your life if you're brave enough to finish it." The download link was hidden behind layers of encryption, but after some digging, I finally got it. The game was called Swansong. No developer info, no logos, just a plain black screen with the title. Right before I hit start, a message appeared on my screen. "Are you sure you want to play? You may not like what you find." I shrug it off. This was exactly the kind of creepy experience I was looking for. The game's opening screen was a list of rules, which I found both odd and a little unsettling. Here's what it said. Do not play after 3 a.m. Play alone. Do not ignore any in-game messages. Once you start, you must finish. There's no quitting. I laughed. Rules like that are just there for the scare factor, right? But as the screen faded to black and the game loaded, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was different. I was in a dimly lit room that looked like a basement, the graphics eerily realistic, yet somehow wrong. There was no sound, just a static hum that raised the hair on the back of my neck. I was about 10 minutes in when I started hearing faint whispers, like a radio signal coming through static. I brushed it off, assuming it was just sound design. But then I got a message in the game chat window. "Are you sure you want to keep playing?" It was strange because I hadn't connected to any server, nor had I set up multiplayer mode. The chat window flickered, and the message repeated itself. I typed back, "Yes," and continued. The game's objective was unclear, but I felt drawn to explore. The atmosphere was tense, with each room darker and more claustrophobic than the last. I found myself in a hallway lined with mirrors, though my reflection looked slightly distorted, smiling when I wasn't. Suddenly, a loud knocking sound came through my headphones. I ripped them off, but the knocking didn't stop. It was coming from my front door. I knew better than to open the door, but curiosity got the better of me. When I peered through the peephole, no one was there. I went back to the game, feeling a strange urgency to keep going. But with every step my character took, I felt like I was being watched. Around 3 a.m., I got another message in the chat window. Rule number 1, do not play after 3 a.m. Confused, I glanced at the time. It was exactly 3:03 a.m. had the game been tracking my actual time. It was creepy, but I figured it was just a feature to freak players out. I decided to keep playing. After a while, I heard a soft, distorted voice through my headset. It whispered things like, "Turn around," or "It's too late to quit." But the voice wasn't coming from the game, it was coming from behind me. I whipped around, heart pounding, but of course, no one was there. I brushed it off again, blaming exhaustion. That's when I got another chat message. "This is your final warning. Close the game, and you won't have to see it." I didn't know what it was, but I was done. I tried to hit ESC to quit, but nothing happened. I tried force shutting down my computer, but the game stayed open, the screen flickering as if mocking me. The only way out seemed to be to keep playing. As I kept moving forward in the game, I found myself in an endless hallway. It felt strangely familiar, like a distorted version of the hallway in my own apartment building. Doors lined the walls, each with a strange marking I didn't recognize. The whispers grew louder, and I could have sworn I heard my own name being whispered. When I tried to open one of the doors, the game froze, and a new message popped up, "Look behind you." I slowly turned around in my room, nothing. But when I looked back at my screen, I saw a figure standing in the game's hallway, facing away from me. It was wearing the same clothes I was wearing in real life. I moved my character forward, But as I did, the figure started to turn around, revealing a face that looked exactly like mine, except… wrong. The eyes were too wide, the smile too fixed, and the skin too pale. It whispered, "You shouldn't have kept playing." I tried everything to shut off the game, pulling the plug, smashing keys, nothing worked. The figure on the screen stared at me and blinking, its smile growing wider. Suddenly, it moved closer, reaching out toward the screen with one hand, like it was trying to reach through. My room went pitch dark. I could feel something cold brushing against my shoulder. I didn't dare move. The screen flickered, and for a moment, I saw the shadow of a figure behind me, reflected on my screen. But when I whipped around, there was nothing there. The screen went black, and one last message appeared. "Thank you for playing. See you soon." The game finally closed. I thought it was over until I realized the faint whispering hadn't stopped. The game had uninstalled itself, leaving no trace on my computer. But since that night, I've been hearing things, scratches in the walls, faint whispers when I'm alone, and sometimes a figure that looks just like me standing in dark corners, smiling with that same unnatural grin. I don't know if it's real or if the game just got into my head. All I know is that every time I see my reflection now, it's smiling back at me, even when I'm not.